Today I'm going to look at SPI's TimeTripper from 1980. Another game that's kind of difficult to find out there at a reasonable price because it's a unique and very interesting game, so I'm sure many people that have it don't want to part with it. This version is a box version. Comes in a standard SPI box. I like the art. It definitely conveys a theme. The portal, so you have soldiers that are jumping through time. So you get different scenarios in the different paths you go in the time portal. Of course, you got Roman legionnaires, future cops with some kind of beam weapon. And it looks like kind of Jetsons era flying saucers. Well done. Game design, James F. Dunnigan. Graphic design, Redmond A. Simonson. Illustration by Joe Barney. There's no art in the back. So in the box, it doesn't come with a tray, but GMT tray counter works perfect. So put that in there. Got a couple nice SPI dice. Several of these box versions of the SPI games come with this like one-page insert, which is gives a good synopsis of what's going on. TimeTripper simulates the adventures of a USA infantryman who accidentally creates a time warp that transports him to famous battles of the past and fantastic battles of the future. Though armed with modern weaponry, the TimeTripper must husband his resources as he encounters the fearsome Tyrannosaurus Rex, Greek hoplites, Nazi infantry, and the futuristic time police. Rules cover travel through time, missile and melee combat, endurance and experience. The game also includes rules for Team Tripper play and for a Time Master. Age range 12 ages to adult. Number of players 1 to 4, so it's great that it's suitable for Solitaire. 1 to 3 hours. Moderate complexity, and often they throw in this thing where for reference, Monopoly is considered a complexity of 2.34. I don't think they need that many significant figures on that though. Shows a few different scenarios, the sets up different scenarios, sample of game charts, general sequence of play, time travel stage, battle, the tripper phase, historical soldier or animal phase, stun mark removal. So components, so first of all the one-page sheet. And the rule book, 16 pages, but only about half of that is rules and half describes different, there's some play rates in there and also jumping through different battles, describing them. And the rule book's, black and white, standard for the time. In the rule book, of course, there's charts and tables, which we'll talk about in detail. There's a weapons chart with, the weapon, mode of use, accuracy level, attack value, weight, empty roll, 2 dice maximum, accuracy table with a rating and range to target, and the results of those, combat results table, combat differential defense value minus attack value, detection table with detection rating and the reactions of away, stop, towards attack, flux command table, tripper activity none, move only, shot it, negotiate, and then control flux. Team Tripper weapon selection chart, different weapons, die roll, negotiation results table, dice and cross-reference to the battle negotiation rating. And kind of a moderate number of counters, there's 100 of them. They're 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. Some are one-sided, some are two-sided. Here's all the counters, and then I'll move in on the unique ones. Here's unique counters. First of all, soldiers. These are melee soldiers, front and back, soldier, and then the weapon. Each counter represents a soldier armed with a melee weapon, sword, axe, etc. When the leader is killed or disabled, the counter is turned over, and then represents the soldier's weapon, which a tripper may subsequently pick up and use. missile soldiers, front and back. Each counter represents a soldier armed with a missile weapon, bow rifle, etc. These units are used in the same manner as melee soldier counters. Then these are different animals you can encounter. Tyrannosaurus rex, horses, other animals. And these are the characters. One side represents the soldier alive, the other is dead. So Tim, Alf, Neil, Skag. These are these counters. And then you have, for each character, you have experience, current, endurance, and the weight carrying. Current experience, placed on the appropriate box of record track to indicate current endurance level. The lower it triples endurance level. The slower he can move, the less he can carry. His endurance level reaches 0, he's dead. Weight carrying, placed on the appropriate box of record track to indicate the portion of that tripper's current endurance level that is dedicated to carrying weight. The more the tripper carries, the slower he can move. Experience, placed on the appropriate box of record track to indicate the tripper's current experience level. It's the number of times the tripper has jumped in the flux. And then a couple weapons, the Magnum pistol. And on the flip side of that, it's a 25 pistol. It's the pistol carried by a tripper. It's not placed on display, but kept by a player where you can see it. Pistol is empty. Player should place the pistol on top of the pistol ammo marker to indicate it's empty. And then various ammunition. So 357 ammo. Flip side, that's 25 ammo. M16 ammo. Shotgun ammo. Missile weapon ammo. Ammo markers placed on the record track to indicate how many reloads the tripper possesses a weapon, has that particular weapon, and also whether that weapon is currently loaded or not. Then you also have grenades, M1 grenade, M26 grenade, and then other animals up here. You have the ankylosaur, the buffalo, and the saber-tooth. And then here's the M16 loaded, flip side shows unloaded. Shotgun loaded, flip side unloaded. Then you also have the M72 rocket launcher. And you have radios and claymores. And then here you have a flux, and the flip side of that is a flux aligned. And these represent trees or bushes. These are shell holes. Tripper and time. These represent the tripper's location in the time displays. The flux is used on the battle display to represent the flux. And then you have stun, and the flip side is move away. Here's the map. It's a pretty small map. It's like a thickish paper. It just folds at one time to go in the box. 11 by 17. It'll be interesting how it goes because there's not a whole lot of space for like displays and all that. So we'll see how that works out. It's nice to have some references on the charts here, on the map here. So we have the battle display. Represents the physical area in which the battles are fought. Each hexagon represents about 5 meters across. Each turn is 5 to 10 seconds. Each hex in the battle display has a unique number on it. Some hexes have a letter number combination like 5 by 3b. These hexes are used to deploy counters randomly. The numbers along the edge of the battle display are also used to deploy counters. The T hex in the center of the display is the hex that the tripper always lands on in for solitaire play. Numbers on the hex sides of that hex used when a counter must be moved randomly. So here. Time displays, past and future, represent the areas in time through which the time tripper may travel. Each has 37 hexes, representing 36 positions in time, plus a time hole. The only counter placed in the time displays is a tripper and the time marker. Then record track for the different characters. These can indicate the current status of each time tripper in terms of endurance, ammo, and speed for each of the 4 characters. And then here's the random setup chart. Looks pretty interesting. Looks like a lot of, not a huge amount of counters, and the map's not that huge, but it looks like it covers a lot of possibilities, so we'll check it out. We'll get into rules here. Going through the rules here, how to set up the game. There's 2 methods of playing, either solitaire or teams of 2 to 4 players. In order to set up a game, a player must first set his tripper's endurance and then choose a mix of weapons and equipment that will accompany him on his journey through time. So setting endurance, the player must set his tripper's endurance marker on the box marked 20 up here on any of the 4 columns of the boxes of the record track. Choosing weapons and equipment, the player must choose a mix of weapons and equipment that will accompany him throughout the game. This mix may be no more than 50 pounds. Every tripper must carry the following equipment: 1 M16 rifle, 7 pounds, and 1 radio, 16 pounds. These counters should be kept in front of the player to indicate that the tripper possesses them. In addition, each tripper may choose any combination of available weapons and ammo reloads before the start of play, as long as the total weight of the equipment carried, including M16, rifle and radio, does not exceed 50 pounds. Ammo rounds, regardless of weapon, weigh 1 pound each. The M16 shotgun, 357 and 25 caliber pistol, the M72 Law, and the Claymore mine are represented by individual counters that the player should keep off the side. For each ammo, reload, and grenade chosen, the player should place the corresponding ammo or grenade marker in the appropriate box in the record track. If the tripper takes a bayonet or insect repellent with him, the fact should be noted on a separate sheet of paper. Setting weight and movement allowance. Before the start of the game, the player must set the tripper's weight carrying marker on a box of the track display to indicate the number of endurance points, carrying weight, and not available for movement. The player totals the weight of everything carried by the tripper, divides by 5, dropping any fractions. The result is the number of endurance points devoted to carrying weight. That number is subtracted from 20 to determine what box weight carrying marker is placed in. The box the weight carrying marker is in on the record track indicates the tripper's current movement allowance. How to start the game: place the tripper and the time marker on the time hole hex, past time display. This tripper and the time marker is then moved randomly through time. Basic procedure. Basic action of the time tripper is movement the tripper in time from situation to situation as he attempts to get home to the present. Each potential situation is represented by a hex on one of the time displays, and it's called a battle. Play of the game consists of essentially a series of battles punctuated by jumps through time by the time tripper between these battles. Each jump through time and corresponding battle is considered to be a game turn. Game turn outline. Time travel stage. The player resolves the tripper's travel through time, adjusting placement of the tripper and time marker on the time display to indicate the tripper's new position in time. If the tripper returns to the present in the stage, the game is over. If not, when the movement of the tripper and time marker is completed, the appropriate battle is set up. Battle stage, tripper phase. Tripper may move and or fire one of his weapons. The tripper may also alternately attempt to control or otherwise manipulate the flux or negotiate. In the first tripper phase of a given battle, the tripper may not move, although he may fire his weapon. Historical soldier or animal phase. Historical soldiers or animals may detect, move, and perform combat. Historical soldiers or animals perform these actions individually and together. Except in solitaire games, there is no historical soldier phase in the first battle stage of each game turn. Stun marker removal phase. If the tripper jumps for the flux, the game turn is over, and play proceeds to the time travel stage of the next game turn. If not, all stun markers on historical soldiers or animals are removed, and another battle stage begun. There is no limit to the number of battle stages which may occur in any one game turn. Random time travel. Throughout the course of the game, the Tripper will travel through time one or more times. All time travel is kept track of in time displays. Tripper and time marker, TT, is used to record the position of the Tripper on the time display, and the hex it occupies indicates the current position of the Tripper in time. Trippers move through time involuntarily to begin the game and voluntarily by jumping the flux. At the end of each battle stage, movement through time is either random or commanded. Procedure: random time travel occurs during any time travel stage during which it is required. Tripper rolls one die. The resulting number is the direction in which the TT marker will move along the time display. The Tripper again rolls one die. The resulting number indicates the number of hexes the TT marker must move on the time display. If an outer hex on the time display is reached and the TT marker can move no further in the indicated direction, then the TT marker 2 hexes to the right, then turn the TT marker 2 hexes to the right and continue movement in a new direction. When random time travel occurs, Tripper is moved randomly through time to begin the game. Whenever the Tripper jumps the flux and it has not been aligned, he is moved randomly through time. Whenever the TT marker lands on a time whole hex and the Tripper fails to regain the present, the Tripper must be moved randomly through time. Whenever the TT marker lands on a numbered battle hex on a time display that has already been visited by that Tripper, the player must keep track of which numbered battle hexes on the time display have been landed on during the course of the game. The Tripper must be moved randomly through time. Travel from the past to the future and vice versa. If during movement on the time display the TT marker passes but does not land directly on time whole hex, the TT marker is passed to the future time display. If the TT marker currently occupies the past time display or to the present time display, if the TT marker currently occupies the future time display, the TT marker is immediately shifted to the opposite time display, continuing to move the number of hexes dictated by the random movement, regaining the present. If by virtue of line movement on the time display the TT marker ends up directly on the time whole hex, there is a possibility that the Tripper may reach the present day Vietnam again. In order to determine if the present has been regained, the Tripper should roll 2 dice. If the dice roll is equal to or less than the number of flux jumps the Tripper has made during the course of the game, this is kept tracked using the experience marker. The Tripper has reached the present day again. If not, the TT marker is immediately subject to random movement on time display. If the TT marker lands on the time hole hex to random movement, the Tripper is not eligible to regain the present. Setting up the battles. There are 2 groups of battles, each one corresponding to one of the 2 time displays. Each specific battle is represented by a particular hex in the past or future time display. Each battle may only be fought once during the course of the game. Each battle listing includes its title and date, negotiation ratings and treasure, the deployment option for the opposition, either random or enter, strength and number of any opponents, and notes. Here's the battles. I won't go through them because that'll give away some of the game, but for instance you see Marathon 400 BC, negotiation, treasure, random opponents, and then notes. Random setup. The Tripper is equipping historical soldiers or animals along for the ride, and the opponents from the present battle are divided into groups of 6, and the counters in each group arranged in order. A letter between the AMF is selected, dice rolled. The first counter in the first group is placed in the hex in the battle display of the number and letter. Each of the other counters in the group are in turn placed on one of the other 5 hexes with the same number. Repeat steps B and D for each group. Set up historical soldiers and animals only. Setup. Dice rolled. The player places each historical soldier or animal counter on any one of the border hexes of the battle display which contains a number corresponding to the die roll result. No more than 1 enemy counter may be placed on any one hex during a setup battle. The exception: when the horses are called for, each individual soldier counter is stacked with a horse counter. Strength, endurance, and numbers of opponents. 4 values are listed in each opponent. These values are attack strength, accuracy, defense strength, and detection value. The next indicates a value of 0 or no value. Any historical soldier or animal with an endurance level takes casualties. Use a marker on the director track. The number following the 4 listed values indicates how many of a given opponent present in battle. Cleaning up between battles. Whenever all opponents in a battle have been killed, the tripper is considered to be free to regain endurance, collect treasures, pick up the loose equipment and or weapons, and flux on to the next battle or home. Optional random set procedure. The following procedure, though slower, provides more variation. Roll 2 dice and add the results. Total indicates the first two numbers of a hex. Roll 2 dice again and add the results again. Total indicates the second 2 numbers of a hex. If the hex is unoccupied, place a counter in it. If not, repeat steps A and B. Repeat steps A through C for each counter to be deployed by random setup. Movement, zones of control and stacking restrictions. Movement by the tripper and historical soldiers and animals. On the battle display occurs as part of resolving each battle. Movement of the tripper is dependent on its endurance level. Movement of opponents is strictly defined by results of mandatory attempts by each historical soldier or animal to detect the tripper. Movement by the tripper affects the ability to perform other actions. Movement is generally limited by the presence of zones of control and other units. Units are moved one at a time. Movement allowances. Each historical soldier has a movement allowance of 3 hexes, and each historical animal has a movement allowance of 6 hexes per historical soldier phase, unless otherwise indicated. During each TimeTripper phase, the tripper may normally move a certain number of hexes on the battle display, called the tripper's movement allowance. The tripper's movement allowance is indicated on the record track by the position of the tripper's weight-carrying marker. The tripper may increase his calculated movement allowance by a maximum of 4, up to a total maximum allowance of 6, by decreasing his endurance by 1 for each additional movement point used that turn. The tripper may carry a disabled human, important in Team Tripper, a maximum of 1 hex per tripper phase. This can be done only if the carrying tripper has a movement allowance of at least 2. This is the only movement allowed the tripper that phase. The tripper is not obligated to expend its movement allowance completely. Historical units must move their full movement allowance when the applicable detection result allows them to move at all. If a flee result forces an historical soldier or animal to be in the edge of the display, he stops. Soldiers or animals may not leave the battle display except as a consequence of time travel. Zones of control. Unstunned units exert a zone of control into all 6 adjacent hexes at all times. When a unit enters the enemy unit's zone of control, you must stop and move no further. When a unit is in an enemy's unit's zone of control, it may not move until the adjacent enemy unit is stunned, killed, or disabled. Stunned, killed, or disabled units have no zones of control. A unit in the enemy's zone of control may be fluxed in out of the current battle without restriction. Rampaging elephants, the robo, pong ball, and cars are totally unaffected by zones of control. More than 1 unit per hex stacking. Unit may not end its movement stacked in the same hex with any unit that is not dead or disabled, with the exception of riders and horses. During movement, the unit may not pass to a hex occupied by an enemy unit that is not dead or disabled, with an exception. Unit that is dead or disabled does not affect stacking in any way. Rampaging elephants, the brawl ball, pong balls, and cars may enter a hex containing an enemy unit that is not dead or disabled, but may not end a movement in such a hex. Movement and other actions. As long as he is not dead or disabled, once each tripper phase, a tripper may both drop anything he's carrying and move. Regardless of whether or not a tripper drops or moves in a given tripper phase, he may perform only one of the following actions. Attempt to command the flux. Use any single weapon he is carrying. However, to use a weapon during movement will degrade accuracy to some extent. Reload a weapon. Pick up a weapon or the radio. The tripper may choose to negotiate during tripper phase. This is optional, but if he does so, no other activity except an attempt to command the flux is allowed. Historical soldiers and animals may only move, detect, and attack. Horses automatically move along with their rider. A horse whose rider is killed or disabled remains in the hex for the rest of the battle. A tripper may never ride a horse. Combat. Combat is of 3 types: missile weapon combat, melee combat, and grenade combat. Successful combat may result in the enemy target being wounded, stunned, disabled, or killed. A tripper's attack value depends on the weapon he uses. His defense strength is always 4. Missile weapon combat. All weapons that have an accuracy value of anything other than X are missile weapons. A missile weapon may be used to attack an enemy unit anywhere in the battle display without restriction, unless otherwise noted in the specific battle rules. Missile weapon attack procedure. The player determines the accuracy rate of the weapon being employed. The player determines the range in hexes from the firing unit's hex to the target hex. The player consults the accuracy table and rolls 2 dice. If the dice roll is a number equal to or greater than the number appearing at the cross-reference of the range and accuracy rating, the attack is successful. If the dice roll is unsuccessful, skip step E. Step E. If an attack is successful, the target unit's defense strength should be subtracted from the firing weapon's attack value. The resulting number is matched to a corresponding number on the combat results table. The player rolls 2 dice. The combat result, if any, is applied against the target immediately. Regardless of the result of the attack, the player must immediately roll 2 dice in order to determine if the firing weapon runs out of ammunition. A weapon runs out of ammunition if the dice roll is equal to a figure indicated in the weapon's empty roll column in the weapons chart. If a weapon runs out of ammunition on the record track, it should be turned sideways, indicating that it's empty. In order to fire the weapon again, it must be reloaded. The dice roll used to determine accuracy of missile combat is modified under the following circumstances. The target is a horse, tiger, buffalo, or ankylosaur. Add 2 to the dice roll. The target is a horse with a man on it. Add 3 to the dice roll. The target is a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Add 4 to the dice roll. If the tripper is moving while firing, subtract 1 from the dice roll for each hex the tripper entered during the tripper phase. If a tripper fires at a soldier and horse, the player must choose which of them is actually the object of the attack before it is resolved. Melee combat. All weapons that have an accuracy value of X may only be employed in melee combat. Attack against in unit adjacent hex. Melee combat procedure. Subtract the target unit's defense strength from the attacking weapon's attack value. Consult the combat results table. Cross-referencing the column corresponding to the figure obtained in step A with a dice roll. Read the result and apply it immediately. A unit without a weapon may participate in melee combat with a counterattack value of 1, hand-to-hand combat. If more than one attacking unit is adjacent to the same defending unit, the attacker's strength may be combined into a single value and one attack resolved against that defending unit. The attack strength of a horse or anything else in horse and historical soldier's riding is added to the soldier's strength in any melee combat. Riderless horses may never attack. If a horse and rider the object in attack, the player must decide by resolving which one is the object of the attack. Grenade attack, grenade combat. Grenades are basically one-shot missile weapons. There are 3 types of grenades. M26A1 is a regular fragmentation grenade. M1 is an illumination grenade. And a claymore, horizontal landmine, which functions like a large shotgun. M26A1 grenade procedure. Target hex anywhere within 6 hexes of the tripper is selected. Any unit, including the user, applicable in the target hex is attacked with an attack value of 12 and accuracy level of A. All units adjacent to the target hex are attacked with an attack value of 8 and accuracy level of A. All units 2 hexes away from the target hex are attacked with an attack value of 6 and accuracy level of A. All these attacks are carried out as soon as the target hex is declared. M1 grenade procedure. A target hex anywhere within 6 hexes of the tripper is selected. All units in the target hex are attacked with an attack value of 5 and accuracy level of E. On a battle stage, after it's thrown and 5 battle stages thereafter, the grenade burns. A burning grenade inhibits the detection capability of historical soldiers and animals. Claymore mine procedure. The user must declare that the claymore is being set up in a particular hex in battle display. During any subsequent battle stage, the user may declare the claymore is being fired. The user may declare that the claymore is being fired only when he is within 2 hexes of it and no sooner than 1 stage after the claymore is dropped. When applying claymore, the claymore counter must be pointed in the intended direction of use. When firing, it attacks all units with 60-degree arc, direction pointing, all the way to the battle display's map edge. All hexes are attacked attack value of 12 and accuracy level of G. Resolving the attack of a grade on an accuracy table, a range of 1 is always assumed. Recovering weapons. The tripper may recover a weapon from a dead or disabled historical soldier. It's picking up a weapon. If a missile weapon is recovered, the player should roll a single die in order to see how many ammo reloads can be picked up with a weapon. Each reload weighs 1 pound. A tripper may never carry more than one recovered weapon at a time. Stun, the tripper loses 1 endurance point. Only. Soldier animal has a stun marker placed on its counter and may not move, detect, exert its own control, or attack during the historical soldier animal phase of the current battle stage. If a horse is stunned, it stays put, and the mounted soldier cannot move, but may attack. Wound, if the tripper was the target of the attack, 1 die is rolled, and the result is the number of endurance points immediately lost. Target is soldier animal. A single die is rolled. A roll of 1 to 3 indicates the soldier animal is disabled. 4 to 6 indicates that the soldier animal is stunned. Disabled. If the tripper was the target of the attack, 2 dice are rolled, and the result is the number of endurance points lost. For soldiers and animals, flip their counters over, indicating that they may take no more actions for the remainder of the game. They lose their zone of control. In addition, their weapons may be taken by the tripper. Kill, if the target is dead. If the target is a soldier animal, the effect is the same as disable. If the target was a tripper, there's a possibility that he may be erased from the dead. If a horse is disabled or killed, the rider incurs a wound result, which is the only way a rider can dismount. Historical soldier and animal detection. General rule. Historical soldiers and animals are restricted to the number and type of actions they may perform during the historical soldier or animal phase. Each unit must attempt to detect the TimeTripper during each historical soldier phase. The result of that detection attempt defines what further actions, if any, the unit will perform in that phase. Procedure. At the beginning of each historical soldier phase, the detection attempt is resolved for each historical soldier or animal. First, the detection level, soldier or animal is determined. This will be a letter from A to D. Next, 2 dice are rolled, and the detection table is consulted. The dice roll result will fall into the range of 1 of 4 results, including away, stop, towards, attack. Detection. Each soldier and animal has a detection value. Each soldier and animal must attempt to detect the tripper in its first action in the historical soldier phase. As an exception, detection dice roll is modified under the following circumstances. If the soldier or animal is 2 hexes away from the tripper, add 2 to the dice roll. If the soldier or animal is 3 hexes away, add 1 to the die roll. On the first battle stage, after an M1 grenade is thrown, subtract 2 from the dice roll. During the second battle stage, after it's thrown, subtract 3. During the third, subtract 4. During the fourth battle stage, after thrown, subtract 5. During the fifth, subtract 6. Following the fifth battle stage, after the grenade is thrown, there are no modifiers to detection dice rolls. Movement of historical soldiers and animals as a result of detection. Each soldier or animal may only move if a towards, away, or sometimes attack result occurs due to the soldier or animal's detection attempt. The movement required by this result must be performed immediately. If no away result is obtained for detection attempt, the detecting soldiers or animals counter immediately has a move away marker placed on it, and has immediately moved the maximum possible distance in hexes away from the tripper it was attempting to detect. A soldier or animal may never leave the battle display due to an away result. If the map edge is reached, the soldier or animal immediately stops the movement and the move away marker is moved. May perform no more actions for the remainder of the game turn. If a soldier or animal move away from tripper in a variety of directions, it is up to the moving player to determine the soldier or animal's movement. If it towards result is obtained due to detection attempt, the detecting soldier or animal immediately moves the most direct path possible towards the player tripper is attempting to detect. This movement continues until the soldier or animal's movement allowance is expended, or the soldier or animal has entered the tripper zone of control. At this point, the soldier or animal may immediately attack. If an attack result is obtained due to a detection attempt, the soldier who possesses an accuracy rating moves towards the nearest tripper as if a towards result had been obtained. Those soldiers who possess missile weapons who obtain an attack result immediately fire their weapons from the hex the attack result was obtained in, unless the range is so long that the missile weapon has no chance of having an effect, in which case the missile soldier acts like a soldier with max accuracy. If a stop result is obtained due to a detection result, the soldier or animal attempting this detection may not move for the duration of the game turn, may not attack. Attacks by historical soldiers and animals as a result of detection. A soldier or animal must attack the nearest tripper under the following circumstances. Soldier or animal possesses a missile weapon and an attack result is obtained due to a detection attempt, or the soldier or animal is in a tripper's zone of control. In this case, there is no detection attempt made by the soldier or animal. Soldiers and animals perform combat as described. A soldier that performs combat against a tripper with a missile weapon may not move in the current game turn. Command time travel. General rule, a tripper moves from battle to battle by jumping the flux. In order for a tripper to jump the flux, it is necessary for him to command it. A tripper may attempt to command the flux during a particular tripper phase on the battle display. A tripper who attempts to command the flux may only move or negotiate in addition to that attempt. If the flux is commanded by the tripper during a given battle stage, there are 4 actions that the tripper may take with the flux during that battle stage: conjure it, align it, move it, or jump it. If the flux is commanded, one of these 4 actions may be taken for free. Procedure: if as one of his actions during tripper phase, the tripper attempts to command the flux command table must be consulted to see if the trippers can command the flux. For the duration of the current battle stage, 2 dice are rolled and results totaled. Tripper's experience points are deducted from the total, taking into consideration the type of actions performed by the tripper or against him during the current battle stage. A range of numbers can be found on the flux command table. If the total of the dice falls within this range, the flux is considered to be commanded by the tripper for the duration of the tripper phase. Command the flux. Only tripper who is carrying the radio may attempt to command the flux. Command of the flux lasts long for the duration of the tripper phase in which it is commanded. The flux must be recommanded each tripper phase that a tripper desires to command it. A tripper who successfully commands the flux in a given tripper phase may also conjure, move, align, or jump the flux. The one action of these 4 that the tripper performs is in addition to any movement or negotiation that the tripper performs in the tripper phase. Conjuring the flux. If the tripper has successfully commanded the flux during a particular tripper phase, may immediately conjure the flux. This means that flux counter is brought from the battle display. In order to conjure the flux, the tripper simply states this fact. Once the flux is conjured, it remains on the battle display until it is jumped. If the flux has been conjured, the flux counter is brought randomly onto the battle display. According to the same procedure, random setup when bringing the soldiers or animals into the battle display. Moving the flux. If the flux has been successfully commanded by a tripper during a particular tripper phase, he may decide to move the flux counter in the battle display. If the tripper decides to move the flux, it may be moved up to 6 hexes in any direction in the battle display. Aligning the flux. If the tripper has successfully commanded the flux during a particular phase, he may immediately align the flux. Aligning the flux means that once the flux has been jumped and the tripper travels through time, this travel is more accurate than if the tripper jumped the flux without first aligning it. If the tripper wishes to align the flux, he states this fact. He then positions the TT marker in the time display and points the flux down any hex row on display that the tripper wishes. When the flux is eventually jumped, the TT marker will automatically move down this hex row. Only a tripper that aligns the flux during a particular battle may jump the flux. If the tripper that aligned the flux is unable to jump, another tripper must take up the radio and align the flux before jumping it, or not align it first. It is permissible to jump the flux without first aligning it. Jumping the flux. If the tripper has successfully commanded the flux during a particular battle stage, he may jump the flux. When the tripper jumps the flux, the current battle immediately ends, and the tripper travels through time. The time is played to another battle. If the flux was not aligned before jumped, the random time travel procedure is performed each time the flux is jumped. If the flux was aligned before it was jumped, TT marker moves on the time display in the direction indicated by the tripper when he previously aligned it. If the flux has been aligned before it was jumped and the TT marker completes its movement, time display by aligning directly on the time whole hex, the tripper may immediately attempt to land back in the present, Vietnam. In order to determine if the present has been regained, the player should roll 2 dice. If the dice roll is equal to or less than the number of flux jumps the tripper has made during the course of the game, the tripper has reached present. If not, the TT marker is immediately subject to random movement on the display. If the TT marker completes its movement on time display by landing directly on the time hole hex, without the flux first being aligned, there is no dice roll nor to determine if the tripper has regained the present. Instead, the TT marker is immediately subject to random movement on time display. Each battle may be visited only once, so you need to keep track of them. A tripper who has landed flux only uses his experience to attempt to control the flux as he jumps it. Move the tripper in time marker as many hexes up 6 in the aligned direction as he chooses. Special rules concerning the flux. Once the flux is conjured and is the same hex as the tripper or the radio, the flux automatically stays with the tripper on the battle display unless the tripper commands it to move away. Any living creature only that finds itself adjacent to the same hex as the flux immediately removed from the battle display and held aside until the flux is jumped to the next battle. Such creatures subsequently are set up randomly in the battle display for the next battle. Creatures thus transported may not detect, move, or attack during the first battle stage of the new battle. These transport creatures are moved during the historical soldier phase and only detect and attack trippers. Dead trippers that find themselves adjacent to or the same hex as flux in the battle display are subject to being transported to the next battle. If a dead tripper is transported in this manner, it is set up in the next battle randomly. It is considered alive with an endurance point total of 5. This rule applies to Team Tripper only. Endurance. Each tripper's maximum endurance level is set to 20, like set up here for instance. Set up on these. At the beginning of the game, some of it must be used for carrying things. The rest may be used for movement. The tripper with 0 endurance is dead. Each battle stage a tripper does anything when endurance point is expended. Each tripper phase a tripper does nothing. He gains back 3 endurance points. Combat results also cause loss of endurance points. Each time a tripper lands a new battle, his endurance is increased 50% from what it was when he left the last battle. It may never exceed 20. Dead tripper landing in a new battle starts off with endurance of 5. Experience is gained each time a tripper jumps to flux. Experience is then used to control the movement of flux on time display and to enable a tripper to land on the time hole and return to present. Procedure: each time a tripper jumps flux, the tripper's individual experience goes up 1. Experience can only be used if the tripper, after aligning the flux and aligning jumping the flux, rolls 2 dice to see if he has successfully controlled the tripper on the time marker. If the dice roll is equal to or less than the tripper's current experience level, the tripper in time marker is controlled and the player may move as many hexes in the aligned direction up to 6 as he is wished. Once in the time hole, the tripper may use his experience level to go back to the present. If the attempt to return to the present is unsuccessful, the tripper in time marker is moved on the display randomly. Experience is also used when attempting to command the flux. Number of experience points tripper has is deducted from the dice roll when using the flux command table. And then Team Tripper, optional rule. 2 or more time trippers may go off as a team. Other than limitations on the amount of weapons and ammunition to carry, they operate just as an individual time tripper would. Before starting, the team must agree on what weapons and ammunition they'll take. The team total, including radio, must not exceed 50 pounds. When the team lands on the battle display, use random setup for trippers in the radio, M16, shotgun, claymore, M72, and any recovered historical weapons. All other weapons, treasure, and ammunition stay with the tripper who is carrying them. Players may decide among themselves the order in which they'll move during the tripper phase. When a tripper picks up the radio on the battlefield and commands the flux, the other trippers leave the battlefield just like any other non-tripper object by passing through the flux. One tripper does not have to use the radio throughout a battle. Each commanding of the flux is a separate action, and different tripper may conjure, move, and line jump the flux. Only tripper that jumps the flux, however, gets the benefit of experience for it. Team Tripper equipment restrictions. The team must take the M16, shotgun, and radio, but only one of each. The team may take 1 claymore and 1 M72. Only one tripper may carry the ammunition for the M16 or shotgun. Each tripper may take 1 pistol, 1 bayonet, and 1 insect repellent container. The team may take as much ammunition and grenades, but only 1 type. M26 M1 per tripper as they wish. Random selection of equipment to determine what equipment the teams will carry. Use the Team Tripper weapon selection table. With 4 trippers, there are only 5 pounds available per man for non-mandatory weapons. Players have the option, however, to increase the team's weight of non-mandatory weapons. Testing of the game resulted in the above restrictions, 50 pounds each. Some players have found the game still challenging with up to 70 pounds. Mandatory weapons should be retained. Treasure hunting is an optional rule. Each battle is assigned to it value of a historical artifact, treasure, as well as its weight, listed in 1/10 of a pound. To determine the weight of all artifacts carried by a tripper, total the values divided by 10, rounding up to the nearest pound. Artifacts may be collected only after every historical soldier or animal battle display has been killed or disabled. Each artifact must be carried by a tripper back to the present. Negotiation optional rule. In a tripper phase, the tripper may, instead of moving or firing, attempt to negotiate with historical soldiers in battle display. During any tripper phase in which the player decides to negotiate, rolls 2 dice and consults the negotiation results table. The dice roll total is cross-indexed with the negotiation rating letter that applies for the particular battle. The letter result, RL, etc., will be indicated. This yields the result of the negotiation. So the real results, only one all result may be obtained per battle. Thus, if an all result is obtained, negotiation table, the table may not be used again during the battle. It doesn't matter whether or not any of the historical soldiers are actually odd. Animals are not subject to all results, except for elephants, which have human handlers. Odd soldiers, when fluxed to another battle, may not move or fire on the first turn of battle. Effects of negotiation. Negotiation results affect all historical soldiers in battle display. If an A4 result is obtained, 1 die is rolled for each historical soldier on the map. Die result 1-4 indicates soldiers in awe of the tripper is under his control for the rest of the game, or until a soldier is killed. A soldier previously in awe of a dead tripper, even after the tripper is brought back to life, is like any other historical soldier that has been transported. That is, the soldier is then hostile to all trippers. A die roll of 5-6, soldier flees. Odd soldiers are treated like trippers. The player who rolled the awe result controls them. An A1 result is the same as an A4, except a die roll of 1 awes the soldier. Die roll of 2 through 6 causes him to flee. If a flee result is obtained, the historical soldiers move away from the tripper until they reach the map edge, where they stop for the rest of the stage and do nothing. If a left result is obtained, consider a game turn to have passed for the purpose of other trippers regaining endurance. And roll again on the negotiation table using the column to the left of the one previously used, or the same column if column A was just used. Historical soldiers do nothing. Trippers may not move or fire, but may reload, conjure their flux, etc. If a rage result occurs, the soldiers attack if missile troops, or move if not adjacent to a tripper. If a melee soldier, attacks are resolved in the combat results table, one column to the right, or the one they would normally use. Winning the game. General rule, in order to win the game, tripper must get back to the present live. Any of the following victory options may be chosen by a tripper before the start of play. Minimal resource victory, attempt to get back to present level with less than 50 pounds of weapons equipment. The lower, the better. Quick return victory, attempt to get back to the present live, shortest number of battles. 6 is normally the minimum. Anything under 10 is very good. Personal best victory, using equipment configuration, attempt to get back to the present alive in a short period of time than you did in your last trip. Treasure hunting victory, using treasure hunting rules, attempt to get back to the present alive, largest amount of treasure. TimeTripper victory conditions, same as above, except variants may be employed at the whims of the players involved. Then, how to use a Time Master. This version of the game, when a player announces the role of Time Master, the Time Master performs the following functions. He rearranges the battle in the future and the present time displays, and places time holes in different locations in each display. Time Master may devise new battles. He may speed up play of the game by performing all the historical soldier and animal movement, attack resolution. When the trippers are using blind time displays, not only the Time Master, they may use their experience level once per game turn to attempt to discern what battles are near in time of theirs. After the flux is aligned, roll 2 dice, reach adjacent hex on display. If the result die roll is equal to or less than the number of times the radio tripper has jumped the flux, the Trip Master must reveal and describe the adjacent hex's battle. And again, design credits. Game Design and Development, James F. Dunnigan. Physical Systems Graphics, Redmond A. Simonson. Rules Editing, Brett Hessel. Historical Notes, John Greer. Playtesters, Production. Then we'll get into sub and play. So setup here, I'm doing one tripper. First of all, you set the endurance. Use that as maximum endurance. Right now is 20. Then choose equipment and weapons. I'm just going to keep track of it here on this note card. So you're required to have an M16 rifle and a radio. So then you go through this chart here. You take the weights of those. You're allowed a maximum weight of 50, and I go all the way to 50. And the weights are in this chart. Radio 16, M16 7, shotgun 7, 357 pistol 3, and I got 2 M26A1 grenades, so total 2. Weight, 2 M1 grenades, total 2. Then ammo rounds, I got ammo reloads, 5 M16 reloads, 4 357 reloads, 4 shotgun reloads, so total there. And that totals up to 50. Then to see the effect on your movement allowance, you take this value, which is 50, divide by 5, so you get 10, and subtract that from your endurance, so 20 minus 10, and then you move your weight carrying endurance here. So he's down to 10, and since he's down to 10, that reduces his speed from 4 to 3. And then the TIM markers here, set off to the side the weapons he has, and then the reloads are shown on here. So the M16's at 5, and these are at 4. Keep track of them that way. Keep track of how many grenades you have here. And he hasn't jumped through any fluxes yet, so doesn't have any experience. And then the tripper and time markers set over here. Then we'll get into play. Starting the game here. So I put the tripper and time on the time hole hex in the past time display. Then you roll the die to see the direction. It's going to go in 3, which is here. Then you roll again to see how far. 1. So the resulting battle is 33, which is Guam in 1945. Negotiation CDE. And I'll be doing the negotiation optional rolls. Treasure, Katana, in 3-10. Enter. Opponents, Japanese bonsai troops with rifle. Location. Most Japanese troops will only fire on a roll of 2 or 3, otherwise they will charge with bayonet at a strength of X21. The American 3rd Amphibian Corps, commanded by General Geiger, after a bloody fight, finally recaptured the island from the Japanese defense, commanded by General Takashima. Japanese soldier was not well equipped. As the war caused severe hardships to Japanese supply capabilities, he would carry either the Asaka M38, 6.5mm, 12 rounds per minute, range 500 meters, or the Model 99, 8.8mm, 12 rounds per minute, range 600 meters, and a bayonet. So the gear could include grenades, canteen, bread bag, or even a Nabu 1914 pistol, 8mm, 36 rounds per minute, 75-meter range. And setting up the battle. So for solo, you put the TimeTripper right in the middle by the time hole. And then you see how many enemies are there. And for this one, it's a 2d1. 7 plus 1, so 8. Then to figure out where they go, roll a 6-sided dice. These are coming in the enter, not random. So I do the enter procedure. 3. Since there's more than 5, we'll roll again. 4. Then I'll put a little marker over here indicating there's the treasure involved, which is a Katana 3010. And each of these troops have a combat of 12C21 for their ranged. And they'll fire in a roll of 2 or 3, otherwise they'll charge with their bayonet, which is a 5x21. And he's jumped into the flux for once, so we'll give him 1 experience there. So in the first turn of the battle, the tripper doesn't move, but he can fire. So he'll be firing here at 210. First of all, look at the range. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's using his M16. He's going to do a single shot. Accuracy table. His level is A, so accuracy of A. Range to target of 5. So he needs a 7 or greater. And he does hit. And then with that, we can do the combat results table. So I scored a hit, and since he's using an M16, he's doing a single shot. The attack value is 15. The Japanese defense value is 2. It's actually the attack value minus the defense values here. So it'd be 15 minus 2 or 13. And that'd be, 10 or more. Roll the dice. 3. Kill. So he's removed from play. And then you see if you ran out of ammunition, and since he did a single shot, you need a roll of 2 or less for that to happen, or 2. If they do rapid or burst, it's more likely to run out, which makes sense. 7. He doesn't run out of ammunition. So since I'm doing Solitaire, in the first phase there's not a historical soldier phase, so we'll not do that. Then it goes stun marker, and there's no stun markers, so we'll move on to the next turn. So, Tripper phase, his movement allowance is 3, so he'll kind of try to flank him up here, so go 1, 2, 3, and then he'll fire at him, 4 hexes away. Again, he'll use his M16. He'll do a single shot, which gives him a accuracy level of A. Go to the table here. 4-way, so he needs 6 or better. He hits. Combat results table again. So it's 15 minus 2, 13. 10. Kill. And then this time the historical soldiers can move. So the historical soldiers have to detect before they can attack, so they'll go to the detection table. Their detection level is I, so they'll roll 2 dice for I individually. So 7, he'll attack. 5, towards. 2, stop. Let's stay there. 3, stop. Stay there. 10, attack. 4, towards. So this scenario has also, whether the soldiers fire their rifles or charge with bayonets, so it's not clear how that ties in with the detection, but I think I'll just kind of have that happen during that. So he's attacking, and he's attacking. These two are not moving and not attacking. So I'll do the attacks. So if a soldier is attacking, if he possesses an X, he moves towards, otherwise he shoots. So I guess at this point I'll see if they're doing the firing or charging. 2. So he's firing his weapon and he's charging. So I'll have him move as maximum movement allowance. And to indicate he's using a bayonet, I'll switch him to this just so we know that. And then he's attacking, so he's going to attack from that distance, which is a range of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. First of all, we check their accuracy. They have accuracy of C at a range of 5. So he needs a 7 or better. Hits. As far as the damage, it's 12 attack versus 4 for the Tripper, so 8. Seven. Wound. So with his wound, he rolls a die, and that's how many endurance points he loses. 1, so he loses 1 endurance point. And since his movement allowance is 10 minus that, he drops down to 9 for that, but he's still at a movement of 3. And then we go to the towards. He's going towards as maximum movement. He's going towards as maximum movement. And then we see if they're firing rifles or not. 5, he's not firing a rifle. So I'll just indicate he's melee for this one. And it says charge, but I assume since he's moved all his movement allowance, he can't move any further. And then check him. 3, so he is firing a weapon, and his range is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 again. Accuracy. So level C at a range of 5. He misses, and there's no stun, so we won't do that. So the Tripper is feeling like he's getting overwhelmed here, so he's going to actually try to command the flux to get out. So on the activity table here, he can either move and try to control flux or not move and control the flux, but he can't fire. He gets some advantage of not moving, because then he would only need 2 to 9 instead of 2 to 7. But they're getting kind of close, so he wants to move out. So he'll move 3, and then he goes flux command. So 6, he falls within the 2 to 7, so he's able to do that. So command that flux, now he's going to conjure it. So you do the random setup, using the approach here. So he's going to choose B, then roll dice. 2, 2B. Flux shows up right there. And then again, the movement of the troops. They'll do That leads to a detection. They have a detection level of I. Seven. He'll attack. Move him up there to show he's attacking. 11. Attacking. 9. Attacking. 4. Towards. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of sense of how the play goes. So that's TimeTripper from SPI in 1980. It's a pretty unique game. It's primarily a war game, but you jump around in time, and that's the science fiction element, battling elements across, different eras of time, past and future. Of course, it's debatable, how time travel would happen. Some people even say time travel is not possible into the future if it were, because it doesn't exist yet, but it may be possible in the past if it was a thing. But it's all theoretical. But if you can jump to the past and future, this is what it's showing. You have a force from Vietnam era jumping back to battle like Romans and Greeks, in the future to battle forces there and everywhere in between. So the it's pretty simplistic war game, but it's got enough elements as far as choosing different weapons, how you handle damage and accuracy, and running out of ammunition. That makes it interesting. And then I like how they handle the time travel, where you kind of jump across different times, and you also track your character's endurance and how much they can carry and movement and all that. So it's also a plus, of course, that it can be played solitaire. It's plays really, it's a lot of it's kind of geared towards solitaire, although you can do multiplayer as well. So it's a unique game, and I found it enjoyable. I'll definitely take it out again. Since it's unique and kind of started this sort of combining time travel and war game thing, I'll give it a pretty high score. And also for its enjoyability, give it an 8 out of 10. Thanks a lot.